9. Love it. So if we scroll down to number 9, I don't know if everybody's number 9 is going to be the same. Are they all mixed up? Is that the number 9 we're talking about? Is it? So let's go and do like a yes or a no. So this question right here, do we want to talk about that or not? How do we do if the end point of a segment is 2, 4 and the midpoint is 4, 7? What do I have to do here? Make that chart, right? And what's the key to the chart if I'm looking for the other end point? You do. So the end point goes at the end, right? 2, 4. And then the midpoint goes in the middle, 4, 7. And then you just have to find the pattern. Questions on that? Okay. How about number 2? Do we need to do that one? What's the formula for midpoint? What do I do for midpoint? It is. So when we're doing midpoint, we're doing the average. So x plus x divided by 2. Absolutely. If you need to use your notebook on the test tomorrow, use your notebook on the test tomorrow. Eventually, when you go to take the SOL in May, you'll need to know these formulas. But for right now, please feel free to look them up in your notebook. The more times you go back to look up the information in your notebook, the more you're going to remember it, okay? So x plus x divided by 2, we're going to add the -3 and the -7, and then divide by 2, and then add the 8 and the -6 and divide by 2. How about question 3? This is usually one that people stress out about. What's the word bisect mean? So bisect means that it's cut how? If I bisect you, I'm going to cut you straight down the center. Your right half and your left half are symmetrical, right? If I bisect my computer, I'm going to slice it, or my monitor, I'm going to slice it right in half. Bisect means to cut it exactly in half. So anytime you see bisect, those two parts are going to equal each other. Oops. Bisect means equal. So my expression is going to be 2x plus 25. And I encourage you to take out a notebook and do this math if you have not already done it. And at least write down the equations, right? Anytime you have bisect, you're going to set those two pieces equal to each other and then solve. The trick here is to read the question that's being asked. So once you solve this equation, you've got to substitute that back in for GFH. GFH is this one. So whatever value you get for x, you need to add 40 to it. Questions? Okay, I'm trusting that you guys have done all of the stuff that you needed to do up until this point. So matching images, this is what we just did. We should know that this is a line and this is an angle and this has been bisected. That's what these little congruent marks mean, right? That AC is equal to CB. And then these are all coplanar. They're all together on one plane, line segment. And then these are non-coplanar because we've got some dots that aren't on that sheet of paper. And then array. Questions on that one? How do I set up number 5 if x is the midpoint? So we're going to set those guys equal to each other?
Oh, wait, yeah.
Right? And we even have some congruent marks right here to help us out, right? If x is the midpoint, then AX equals XB. So you set those two expressions equal to each other, and it says find the value of M. So once you solve that equation, you're done. That answer is your final answer. Okay. What do I find if I'm finding length? Distance. What's the distance formula?
The symbol, I don't know what symbol it is, but it's in parentheses, x squared minus x1 squared.
Absolutely. X minus X. And if you don't have a notebook out, please get a notebook out. You need to write these down to make sure you know them, right? And then Y minus Y and squared. If it makes you happy to put the ones and the twos in here, put the ones and the twos in there, right? Questions, guys? Okay, distance, this is exactly the same thing, round to the nearest tenth, as we did up here. So those two problems are exactly the same. One's just on a graph where you have to get the ordered pairs, and this one they're given to you. Right? So Ray, have we gotten to the number 9 yet? Okay. M is the midpoint. So M is the midpoint, and A is an endpoint. I'm looking for another endpoint. So do I use the chart, or do I find the average? It is the chart. Why is it the chart? Because I'm finding the endpoint. Okay, questions on that? We can write the midpoint formula here. If you're going to get these wrong, you're just going to be doing the wrong process. So you want to do this one right here. Okay. Find the midpoint. That's going to be the other one. So if I use endpoint to find the endpoint, I use midpoint over here to find the midpoint in number 9. Okay, midpoint formula, find the average. X plus X divided by 2 and Y plus Y divided by 2. This one is usually a tough one. How do we do this?
It's shutting down.
Is it? Oh no. It likes to be gloved. So this one's going to be the part plus the part equals the total. What's our comfortability level with that, ladies and gentlemen? Part plus the part equals the total. So A plus 8 equals 50. I need to bring my mouse in here. So we'll get 2A plus 8. Fingers are getting tired. And then 50 minus 8 is 42, and A equals 21. Why is 21 not the right answer? I see 20. Oh, and that's not the question. Nice. So guys, make sure you're answering the right question. If A equals 21, you can set it up, you can solve it, but this is actually the right answer because I need to do A plus 8 is 29. Okay. What's number 11 asking me? The midpoint of AC. So I want to take from A to C and I want to find the midpoint, right? I always make a prediction if there's a graph. How do I find the midpoint? What's the math I have to do? X plus X, and what are my X's? So 6 and 2. This point is 2, 5. And this point is 6, 0. My parentheses have fallen off. Right? So 6 plus 2 divided by 2. 6 plus 2 divided by 2. And 5 plus 0 divided by 2. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it's got to be this one. Always go back and plot. So 4 and then 1, 2.5. If you go back and plot your answer, then you can verify that it's right. Okay, one of the things I love about algebra that's not so easy with geometry is to test your answer choices. If it's on a coordinate plane, you can 100% do that. All right, number 12. What do we got to do here, guys? What is the other endpoint? So again, we're going to make our chart. We haven't actually done one, so let's do one. What goes on the top? Which is the endpoint? Beautiful. So I've got 3, -2 in here. And then where do I put the 5, -4? In the middle. Why does it go in the middle? Because it's the midpoint, right? It's kind of in the name. And then what's the process here? If we make our table, what am I thinking about as I do this? I'm adding 2, right? 3 + 2 is 5. If you don't see a number line in your head, draw a number line on your paper. Okay, and then you just got to follow the pattern. So 5 + 2 is 7, right? And then over here, what's the rule? What am I doing when I go from -2 to -4? Subtracting 2, absolutely. And if I follow the pattern, I'm at -6. Okay. Last question. Maybe this was the crazy one. What on earth does this mean? Line N bisects PR. What does bisect mean? To cut in half, to equal, absolutely, to cross. So I can say PQ equals QR because it says bisect. So then you've got to kind of label everything. PQ is 3Y. That's this side over here. And then PR, that's the whole thing. From P all the way to R is 42. Oops, I didn't mean for that to connect. Okay, so if this half and this half are equal because it's been bisected, then if QP is 3Y, then QR is also 3Y. Take a second and think about that, right? That's what we need to get from that word bisect. That word bisect means cut in half. N is the knife that has sliced the log PR in half, right? I've taken my table saw and just gone shoop and cut PR in half. This left side is 3Y, this right side is 3Y. So in my head, I'm going to do 3Y plus 3Y is 6Y. 6Y equals 42. And then what's 42 divided by 6? Y equals 7. Okay. Questions on that, guys? Okay. I know I took a lot of time going over that, mostly because a lot of people didn't do it. So did we not do it because we didn't know how to do it? Did we not do it because I overwhelmed you with too much work? Why didn't we get it done if you didn't get it done? Anybody? It was a lot of work. I need you to be honest with me. It was a lot of work. I know it was a lot of work. Back and forth. Right. We need like one-stop shopping. The math space was super frustrating. Was it working for you? Miriam saying it wasn't working for her too. So I'll tell you I share in your frustration with the math space because I went to a math space training on Thursday afternoon on my own time. And then within 12 hours, all of those compass construction things evaporated. And they didn't tell me in the training that was going to happen. So I couldn't give you guys a heads up. Math space makes me crazy. I will probably never use it again, just so you know, okay? But guys, please make sure you try to get the green puzzle pieces. If you don't do anything else, try to get a first attempt on the green puzzle pieces done before you come to class so that I can look and see what you know and what you don't know, okay? I don't know what to help you with, and we waste a lot of time, especially for those people who have finished it and done well on it, if you choose not to do them on time, right? So let's look at, I'm going to close this. Zoom has taken over my screen. And I know we just talked about we need one-stop shopping, but let's go into yesterday's folder, Monday. So meet me there. And for a teacher who was like never out, last week killed me. So I'm going to preview this and share it on my screen too. Yeah, Lily. Mm-hmm. The test part 4 was in the Friday folder because that was constructions. So that was part of what was taken down on MathSpace. Yeah. So I'm going to talk you through that too. But yeah, that one was tough. That one was tough. What do we know about these vocabulary words? What do we know about these vocabulary words? What's vertical mean? They are across from each other. So guys, if you have not watched the videos, right, from Friday, vertical means they're across from each other. They kind of make a V. They're also congruent. So are these across from each other?
No.
They are not. If I draw a straight line here, A and B are both on the right side. So I've got an acute angle here. And again, you might want to take notes on this. And an obtuse angle here. They are not congruent. Oh, I'm not? Yikes. Thanks, Miriam. The struggle is real, getting ready with new technology. So if I look at these, I've got A and B both on the right side of my straight line. That means they are a linear pair, right? Vertical looks like this. Congruent is if they are exactly the same size. So if they were vertical, they would also be congruent. Complementary means they add up to 90 degrees. Okay. And then supplementary, I think of that S can be turned into an 8. Supplementary is 180 degrees. So after you say linear pair, are these congruent, complementary, or supplementary? They are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. They make a straight line. Anytime they make a straight line, they make 180 degrees. Yeah, Lily. This one? Okay. So if you highlight these rays, right? So if you go from the vertex and you highlight the 2 rays that make the 67, and you highlight the 2 rays that make the 2x plus 1, those are 2 straight lines, right? This line is totally straight and this line is totally straight. That means these are vertical. If they are vertical, they are congruent. So every pair of vertical angles, if they're on opposite sides, they're both acute, right? This little acute one and this little acute one, they're going to equal. So 67 equals 2x plus 1. So as we get deeper into geometry, we're going to have to take those definitions, right? Those vocabulary terms, and we're going to have to start setting up equations. And then once you set up the equations, you got to be able to solve them. So here we would subtract 1 from both sides, and 2x would equal 66. So x equals 33, I think.
Yeah.
Did I do that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Linear pair means what again?
Linear pair means they make a straight line. So if we go back to this pair up here, A and B make a straight line. If you can draw a straight line and then cut that into 2 separate pieces, those are going to be a linear pair. And if you kind of think about the word line is in linear pair, a pair of shoes is 2 things. A linear pair of angles is 2 angles that form a straight line. So kind of think about the vocabulary, and it's just, you have to use it, right? So it might feel weird, but talk to yourself. Well, I'm doing math, my family makes fun of me. I'm sitting at the table and I'm talking to myself. And they're like, what are you doing? This one? Okay.
Just, I couldn't understand where you would get the 2 to 4 from. Is that the next one?
So this one is what I call a time sucking question. What I would do is I would open Desmos. If I open Desmos here, Desmos calculator. And we haven't talked very much about Desmos. It's kind of the first place you would use it. And I would plot all of those points. -1, 8. And I would say label it. And then I would do 4, 8. And I would label it. And then I would do 4, -4. And I would still label it. And then we've got one more, right? 2, 4. And I would label it. So what we want to know is select all the ordered pairs that would form a segment with an endpoint of -1, 8 that has a length of 5. So my -1, 8 is this one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So definitely 4, 8 is going to work. Right? So we can do that. And then I don't know where mine does not. This one is going to be way too long, right? If I go from -1, 8 all the way down to 4, -4, that's not, there's no way that's 5, right? So then what we need to do is do the distance formula in order to figure out this. So x minus x squared plus y minus y squared, and see if this point works. This one we can just count a horizontal line. That's definitely 5. This one we can definitely cross out. We know that's not it. But this one we've got to do the distance formula for. Does that make sense?
I kept trying to do it.
Gotcha. So that word length right there is that key. These are good questions, so I'm glad you're asking them. What's complementary mean again? They add up to 90, absolutely. So if I know A and B are complementary, and I know complementary means 90, then I can draw myself a right angle, because anytime there's no picture, I strongly encourage you to make one. It doesn't matter how big A and B are, we just need to know that one side is A and one side is B, and they add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to add this plus this. Right? So if I combine my like terms, 5x and 10x is 15x. And 22 and 8 is 30. 22 plus 8. I'm just combining my like terms. I just didn't draw it all out. Right? And then it's going to equal 90. So when you solve that, what do you get? 90 minus 30, 60. And then 60 divided by 15 is 4.
It's weird because on my end, is 48.
So why is it 48, not 4? What's the question asking?
Oh, yeah.
What's the measure of B? So if you type in 4 right here, all of that math you've done is correct. You know that complementary is 90 degrees. You know that A plus B is 90 degrees. You combine like terms. You solve for X. You got to make sure you go back and reread the question and answer the right question. So we're going to substitute that 4 right here. So 10 times 4 plus 8 is 48. Yeah, Lily. Absolutely. There are 2 attempts on every green puzzle piece. Okay, then I'll unsubmit one of them. I unsubmitted them earlier today, so it might already be unsubmitted. How would I set up number 5, guys? And Lily actually asked a really good point. My goal here is for everybody to know the material and everybody to get an A. I promise you I'm not trying to tank your GPAs or anything. Okay, it's just a lot of material in geometry. Yeah, so I'm going to do 5x plus 3. That's my obtuse angle, right? So that one's bigger than 90. And then I'm going to add it to that other acute angle. And that's 2x plus 2. And what does that equal?
180.
How do you know it equals 180? Because it is 100% a straight line, okay? This blue vertical line right here is straight. That means it's 180 degrees on this right side. I've got this obtuse angle and this acute angle, and they're going to add up to make 180 degrees. Okay, so then it's just a matter of combining like terms. You've got 7x plus 5 equals 180. This one is being generous, and all they want is x, no substitution required. Yeah? Last question. Select the relationship that best fits the given pair of angles A and B. If you highlight these rays, you'll see. What's one thing you can check off your list, Lily? Are they supplementary, complementary, linear pair, or congruent? Do they make a straight line? I do see a straight line here, but A and B aren't over on this side. Is there a better choice? Because they don't make that total straight line over here or on this side. They're not included. So we're just talking about A and B. Complementary, absolutely. I can, yeah. So complementary, you can turn that C into a 9. Complementary is 90 degrees. Any other questions, guys? The test review you're going to work on right now, unless there's something else you guys want to chat about. Okay. Were you able to get it? Okay. So let me go back over here and let's talk about what is for today. If you didn't get the message about MathSpace and the Compass constructions, Friday's part 4 of the test, don't worry about that. Whatever MathSpace you've done, that's the MathSpace you should do. Don't go back and do any more MathSpace, okay? The rest of the folder in today's work is right here. So there's a vocabulary section. There's a midpoint section, an angle relationships question, and then a bisector section. They're kind of different point values. The vocabulary is kind of a lot of points. I think it's 32 total, and then midpoint, endpoint, and distance, not very big. Angle relationships is where I think most people will get stuck. And then bisectors, hopefully we've done enough practice today that should be easy. What I'd like to do now is give you time to do all of those things. If you have questions, message me in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you have full control over yours if you are in Zoom world.